Hello, Yuma Studios here. I am Vocaloid HappyPills324.
And I am Super Anime Fan Lavia.
We are going to be reviewing a fanime called Jack Saga that was recommended to me by a YouTube user, well, the YouTube user who created it, called Sakuya3. So I guess we'll just, get right into it.
Disclaimer!
We do not own the fanime Jack Saga, nor do we own any of the characters or animation or anything. It all belongs to Sakuya3. Don't sue us, please. So, firstly, we are going to cover what I think is the most important part, the plot line. Now, just to clarify, I guess, what I thought, this doesn't actually seem like as much of a fanime as it is like a series of AMVs with a bit of dialogue and a storyline.
There's like barely any dialogue, seriously. Like, I think the main girl has
two
lines.
And
they're the same thing.
But I liked it anyway, honestly. So
It's probably one of the best fanimes I've seen in a while.
yeah, they all tend to suck these days.
Cough while raining night cough.
So the basic storyline, which is going to be not so basic because for a series of less than 5-minute AMVs, it's relatively complicated.
Relatively?
Yeah, but it's not like so complicated that you can't understand what's happening. So basically, this girl goes to a ball and she catches the eye of the douchebag king and this sexy playboy named Jack, right? And
Who
then
is really sexy.
I already said that.
But he's really
It just
sexy.
needed to be clarified. Okay, so then she goes home, and the next day Jack shows up at her house and gives her a letter that basically says that he needs to kill the king because the king
Because taxes.
Because taxes.
He rose the taxes, and taxes are bad.
So she needs to go to the ball and distract the king. She needs to go to another ball and distract the king so that he's away from his bodyguard so that Jack can kill him. So she goes, but then the king is like, I'm gonna kiss you now.
And then they kiss.
And, well, it was more like, what's like the rape version of a kiss? Where it's
I attack and kissed you right now as?
Yeah, exactly. That. So then Jack is like, why is that bitch kissing the king? Like, I thought she was gonna help me.
I feel betrayed!
So then he leaves and gets really pissed off and shit, right? But then, okay, so then he raises the taxes, the king, she's forced to marry the king, and then he raises the taxes, and y'all like, if you can't pay your taxes, then I will kill you. So.
Starting to sound like the daughter of evil.
Yeah, kind of, actually.
Except he's a man.
Yeah, he's still blonde. So, but then this little boy has to get executed, and then she's like, nope, I'm not going to let you execute him.
Hells no!
Yeah. So then the king gets, like, really annoyed with her because she's, I don't know, defying him, and then Jack shows up and protects her, and there's this really, really cool fight scene, and then she and Jack fall in love, and then Jack reveals that he's actually a vampire. Now, at first, I was like, wow, like, shit, I just lost so much respect for this. Like, I can't even. But then it turns out that he's not, like, one of those sparkly vampires, so it's okay. And then he has to leave because I think, like, some of the villagers saw him, like, sucking blood or something, so then he was all like, I have to go because I don't want to get killed.
And then the villagers come after the girl because they think that she's a witch, so she hides in an abandoned building, and they set it on fire.
But then and then Jack's like spidey senses are like, I gotta go
senses.
I gotta go save my girl because like she's about to die. But then I was all like, oh, like, well, obviously this is a fanime. She's not gonna make it kill her. She's gonna make it out alive. Like, obviously, Jack and his spidey senses are gonna save her. And then she dies! And I was like, so many feels! So many feels! I mean, like, for a character that only has 2 lines of dialogue, you really like her. I can't even pronounce her name, but I really like her. So, it sucked that she died, but it was a really good plot twist, in my opinion.
Because it would have been pretty lame if the series just kept on going on with happy, 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 happy,
yeah,
happy.
Exactly. That. So, and then he gets sucked into a painting and goes to this really cool world with this really cool animation sequence that I don't exactly understand, but it's really awesome. So that's the basic storyline. Details that I really liked. It was historically accurate. You didn't dress her in, like, really revealing sexy clothing when it was, like, the Middle Ages. It was accurate that they'd be like, she's a witch. They were really superstitious.
It's accurate that the king was a non-merciful douchebag.
So overall, like, plotline-wise, I don't have anything to complain about. It was all pretty good, and I definitely liked it a lot. So next we'll be moving on to the characters. Next up, we're gonna get right into the characters. There was a surprising amount of, character because,
Considering that these are really just music videos.
The characters have a surprising amount of personality, despite the fact that the majority of them have no more than 2 lines of dialogue. So we're going to start off with the girl, this girl, the main character.
I have no idea how to pronounce her name, so we'll just call her E.
E, I really like E. She's selfless, but not to the point of being, like, Sue-ish.
Some people could consider her a damsel in distress character, but she's not really because she actually does shit herself.
I like how when the king, like, forces her to marry him, she sort of bears, like, the silent punishment, but then when it comes to, like, a child being in danger,
who can't pay taxes,
she decides to go against the king and save him. The only thing is that I kind of wonder why she didn't, like, go against the king before that, but, like, whatever, I'm not complaining. At
least we got a cool fight scene with the guy who we'll talk about later.
Jack, yeah.
Jack.
This sort of reminded me of Romeo and Juliet, where...
Except better.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to dish Shakespeare here, but I was never a huge fan of Romeo and Juliet. Where she and Jack sort of, like, look at each other, and they already sort of start to like each other, and then it, like, develops more. I like her voice. It seems really fitting.
She had a really good voice actor.
But we're going to get to the VAs later. I really like her character design. I love all the outfits that she wears, plural, sorry, my bad. I would totally love to have them. Definitely a well-rounded character.
Probably the best character in the series.
And she's not a Sue in the slightest. I definitely really like her. Only thing is that her name is really hard to pronounce. But moving on.
This is Jack.
Jack, I also really like him as a character. He's not, like, too Gary Stu-ish, despite the fact that he's a vampire. I thought when he said that he was a vampire, the series was just gonna, like, turn to shit right there.
Lame.
But it didn't. I like the fact that he had, like when he saw blood, it was like he couldn't control himself. Like the thing with Mary Sue and Gary Stu-ish characters is that they have total control of, like everything. Like,
despite having, like, 10 bajillion races of random creatures mixed into their blood, they can totally control all their urges.
And I
like if I was a demon vampire Neko, I'd be running around like, oh my god, I need fish and blood.
So, I like that he can, like, he loses control sometimes.
Oh, and he has spidey senses.
Yeah, he has spidey senses. I thought that was a little implausible, but I mean, like, the rest of the series was good, so I sort of...
Besides, we've heard more implausible stories.
Plus, I felt so bad for him. Oh, I kind of forgot to mention that E dies, which is definitely, like, a good character point.
But so depressing!
I know, it's so depressing, and his reaction is definitely believable. I also like the animation in the 4th episode. So, let's move on to the king.
Or as we like to call him, the douchebag king.
there's not a lot to this character. I mean, like,
he's a douchebag.
He's a typical evil tyrant asshole, who, you know, forces E to marry him, and, you know, just generally an asshole. He tries to execute little children. We don't like him, but he is a believable villain, especially for medieval times. Now I guess we'll just get the minor characters over with. Basically, the townspeople. They're jerks, total douches, but what they did was believable.
And historically accurate.
Yeah, it was, you know, considered, like, like, if they thought someone was a witch, that's what they'd do at the time. They'd burn them. Normally, they'd burn them at the stake, like in a public execution, but
the king was dead.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense that they'd try to kill her. It also makes sense. Wait, what was I about to say? Hold on a sec. The fact that he had to leave town that Jack had to leave town because he was a vampire was also believable.
So the townspeople, they're jerks, but they're accurate.
Now we're just going to talk about the technical things, like the art, the animation, the music, and what little voice acting there was. First, the art.
It's okay.
Well, it's better than okay. It's definitely above, you know, Blood Raining Night standards.
Anything is above Blood Raining Night standards. Even Yon Neko Sugar Girls, and that's a troll fanime.
It's definitely better than the usual fanime style, because the usual fanime style is done by desu fangirls who want to add their sugoi kawaii OCs into the storyline of an anime so that their desu OCs kawaii. Can, like, fall in love with their favorite character.
Their Prince Sama.
Yeah. I definitely like it. You could tell that you put a lot of thought into the art. I definitely like that you use shading, because a lot of these fanime makers tend to ignore shading. So I was thinking when you did the art that you probably used, I don't know, Photoshop or
maybe Flash.
But like a decent art program. And then I decided to read the description, and it turns out that you were using Paint.
Microsoft Paint. And
MovieMaker. What? This is way too good for that. What?
I mean, like half the things I see on Microsoft Paint are on, like, bad pony art or socially unacceptable art.
Like, what? Like, the animation was so good.
Like, they have the hair flipping when they walk, and oh my god, how do you paint?
Also, that dance scene when they were dancing by the river, it was so good. It was like
Beauty and the Beast. Scene.
And the badass fight scene. Like, how did you do this on Paint? Like,
it must have taken
does not compute.
How do you... But Paint!
Anyway, the fact that you did this on Paint was some sort of amazing miracle. Kudos to you. The voice acting was good. There was very little dialogue, but what there was matched the characters. And the music was fitting. I definitely liked your song choices. And it wasn't intrusive. And so it was definitely fitting.
I mean, it wasn't like Blood Raining Night where they're having a weird censored sex scene with a bunny costume and they're playing the story of a poor rabbit. No, this music actually makes sense.
And it was music that was, like, recognizable. Like, it's not like nobody would know it. So we had no technical issues and definitely liked basically everything. So that's about the end of our review. I definitely really liked it.
This is a very good fanime, and as I said before, one of the best fanime I've seen in a while.
I agree, but I'm hesitant to give it a 10 out of 10, because even though the art was definitely way better than average, it wasn't, like, pro, and you know the whole Spidey senses thing was a little unbelievable. So let's say
my Jackie senses are tingling.
So we're gonna say like a 9 to 9.5 out of 10 because I have to admit it was really good. Your characters were great, definitely believable, and the animation was just so good.
MS Paint!
As another disclaimer, we don't own anything.
We don't own Jack.
Yeah, we don't own Jack or E.
We don't own the douchebag king.
So that's about it. Yuma Studios out!